Okay, we're gonna have little testarinis on Thursday, and we'll wrap up some stuff today. But let me show you. I went ahead and I put the lecture on here, but and tomorrow I'll go into these a little bit more deeper. But if you want to take a look at this, 20 multiple choice, 1 FRQ. What do we got? Fertilizer types, organic and synthetic. Advantages and disadvantages. Organic, of course, is going to be manure, not organic as in like health food stuff, right? Organic means like it's natural, right? Synthetic is made in a lab. Okay, so manure is organic fertilizer. Okay, NPK, all that stuff you buy in a bag, that's synthetic. Okay, pros and cons of CAPOs. We haven't talked a lot about that. We'll talk a little bit more about that today. Again, confined or concentrated animal feed operation. I was shocked at the number of you that said we do not have those in Wabash County. I'll show you a map. Like literally, there's one on like every corner. It seems like that. Well, there's a few people. Benefits of aquaculture. We'll talk about what that looks like. Main types of food worldwide versus developed countries. So that was a question on your homework, but again, developed countries were eating a lot more meat, right? Clear cutting, we did a little thing on that. So what's the difference between clear cutting and then selective cutting, and that idea of like biodiversity when it comes to that? What's the definition of a GMO? So pros and cons, disadvantages of tilling. Okay, pesticide resistance, green revolution, tragedy of the commons, advantages of no-till, glyphosates and GMOs, integrated pest management. We haven't talked about that. We'll talk about that today. And sustainable agriculture practices. Okay, again, that's so. What I did is I just made the multiple choice, kind of went through them. Okay, in order. So that's what the questions are going to be about. If you want to look at those to study that. Okay, and then there's the lecture. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know about that. Here's a bunch of pictures I'm going to show you in a little bit. Let's see, we were at DDT yesterday. So just a quick little reminder, DDT, we were looking at that idea that we were spraying for mosquitoes, right? The idea was let's get rid of the mosquitoes and, you know, life will be better, but we ended up killing eagles and also spreading some cancer. Okay, we talked about bioaccumulation, that idea that we are all bioaccumulators, but as we go up the trophic levels, that's biomagnification. So things don't have as much DDT if you're small, but if you're big. This is why eating shrimp as a pregnant woman is a lot safer than eating tuna. Okay, in fact, as a pregnant person, your doctor will tell you, don't eat this amount of food or this types of foods, okay, because of the high mercury levels and so on and so forth. Okay, this is why it is important to know that you are pregnant, by the way. Okay, and we talked about that pesticide treadmill, that idea that like there are going to be some that survive, right? We know, thanks to our good friend Chuck Darwin here, right, that things don't always die, that we spread. Hi there, Chuckster. Okay, that those things survive and reproduce, and they carry those genetic modifications with them, right? Those advantages. Okay, all right, and there's some GMO stuff. I think we left off here with talking about agriculture. Okay, let's talk about this word desertification. Okay, that idea that if we take away all the land, okay, as it used to be, then we're going to end up being a desert, okay, and you're not going to be able to farm that land anymore, okay? Here's a perfect example. If you missed this before, I love this from my good friend Keith Ladinsky. Actually, he doesn't know me and I've never met him, but I pretend like we're friends on Instagram. Okay, he filmed this, and man, I love seeing this. This was a dust storm in Kansas. Yeah, crazy, crazy to think about that, time-lapse photography. Okay, it's happening worldwide, and notice even in the United States, okay, we've got high areas of desertification. That idea that we have degraded those natural prairies, okay, and exposed the soil. When you expose the soil, look, we've all seen it. Maybe you just didn't like have that like aha moment, but I know every single one of you have driven down a dirt road and your car's gotten dirty, okay, in the summertime when it hasn't rained for a while, right? I've seen little farmers out in the field plowing and nothing more than a giant dust cloud behind them as they're tilling, right? I mean, that's just, I've seen it 1,000 times. Where's that dirt going? It's going up in the atmosphere. Okay, sometimes it goes way up, sometimes it goes up and it falls down, right? Okay, that's, you got to remember, soil's money, folks. Okay, why is soil money? Because that's what's growing the food. Yeah.
So on that one kiss the ground or whatever.
Yeah.
If we keep farming like the way it is,
yeah,
crops will be gone by 2050. I don't really feel like that's necessarily completely true because like around here, the way farmers are farming, yeah, it might be taking away topsoil, but I don't think they're going to ever completely run it dry. They're just going to spend more money putting the nutrients back into the ground.
I could agree with that.
I don't think, they're never going to just make it no longer productive, but they'll just have to spend a lot more money maybe putting nitrogen, potassium, and all that stuff.
Right. Well, and it's hard for me again sometimes to wrap my head around like things because I live in this little world, like this little pocket, of Indiana, and I look at farmers and I feel like our farmers are pretty responsible. Like I don't think that there's a single farmer out there that you talk to them and they're like, yeah, I don't really care about my soil. I don't really care about like, the land. I'm just like, I'm doing this to make money, right? No farmer, I've never met a single farmer that
make
says
money, you can't, you gotta do soil.
yeah, you've got to care about it, right? I think the problem is that and farmers have told me this, and you guys have even told me this. Here's the problem with a lot of farm practices is that we're doing it the same way we've always done it. Okay, it's tradition, and like farmers are pretty stubborn. Like they want to do it this way because this is the way they've done it. And again, this is generality. Some of you are looking at me like, yeah, like, oh, I'm going to kill you. Okay, you don't know, you city boy, right? I understand, right? The generalities, right? But I've talked to enough farmers that they are like, man, cover crops, I'm not sure. Until someone else does it, they see the benefits, then they're like, oh, like, man, I got this friend in Ohio, and he's like, it's so weird to me. He's like, once one person starts it, then they tell their buddy at McDonald's at coffee in the morning. They're like, oh, you never believe what I did. And then they're like, oh, really? Though they probably heard this practice 1,000 times. We've all done this before, right? This is like a human nature thing.
All of them think that it's so unrealistic until like somebody does it.
It's like this guy that like freaking planted by accident, like the corn and beans in his hopper, right? And then boom, he had like one of the highest yields he's ever had. Okay, yeah.
And I think another hard thing about like getting like say my grandpa or whatever to fully buy cover crops is because he's seeing every year a big increase in the yield that he's getting, and that's more or less probably because of the genetically modified seed. But so in his why would he spend more money on cover crop when he can still buy the same seed and get more? I mean, yeah, he's like he's gone down a pretty low no-till and everything, but when you see that, I mean, when your numbers are raised, like going higher.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well, why would you?
Short term, it doesn't make really any sense to change.
If the government subsidized some of this stuff, everyone would do it.
Yeah. What if the government forced you to do it? Everybody likes that, right?
Yes. But no, if the government would pay for at least part of it, I guarantee you double the amount of people would do it.
Like the dairy.
Well, isn't it funny like what the government does subsidize and what they don't subsidize, right?
Like the dairy industry is being held up by government subsidies. I mean, that's.
And who's controlling this?
Joe Biden. who's controlling is Walmart, like the big food chains.
The industries, right? You know, right.
They stopped, they stopped buying milk from any other, they started their own mega dairy farms, which puts everybody, the
All the
small
little
dairy
family
farms.
owned.
Yeah.
It's really crazy, isn't it? When you start putting those pieces together. Yeah, man, I bought last year a book on the Farm Bill, and man, that's a whole, like, literally we should have a class called environmental agriculture, right? You know,
I think that's what we're turning into.
right. But here's the thing. Okay, farmers out here in this deep dark red here, they can afford, okay, to lose a little soil. Okay, but look at this right here. Look at that deep dark red. Do you think these people are really worried, you know, like, and they're like, oh yeah, just we'll supplement this with some.
Really, I don't even understand.
Okay, yeah, there might not even be some understanding. Absolutely. Okay, so what are we doing? And you got to remember too that this soil loss right here, right? Okay, where's that soil going to go? That's not going to stay there, right? That soil loss is going to go other places because the wind's going to blow. It's going to blow. You see, now it could be good for some places, right? Wind blows over here, fertilizes some crops. Remember that video?
I have a question. So
yeah.
if we started to reverse the desertification.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have trouble with that word too. Yeah.
In like the upper part of Africa.
Yeah.
Would that slow down like some of the like debris that gets carried over to the Amazon and like screw up everything else?
That's a great question. Because like some of that stuff that's blown over here too, though, is like, you know, those dead diatoms, which are good, right? Those dead diatoms are fertilizing, and that's part of that process.
Reduce that, do you reduce your rainforest?
Well, and some of that's blowing from over here because these are deserts, right? These are deserts. So this is like, this is going to blow, but we want to keep,
if you start like revamping that like dark red right next to the desert.
Yeah.
And you like start to get things to grow and it creeps further like in up towards the desert.
Yeah.
You're theoretically having less topsoil loss, and you're probably trapping some of that dirt and stuff that's being blown from the actual desert.
Yeah. I don't think it would be that. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. That's a great question. This also reminds me that we have to like FaceTime Amy Collin, because they have transformed this area of Malawi from like complete desert to like complete agriculture flush.
And
I gotta do it. Huh?
one of the big things that I think when you bring soil back that's been badly managed or something, it's really like spraying manure and getting away from fertilizers. Like one of my grandpa's fields, whenever he took over, it was bad. I mean, it used to, your yield per acre was horrible. And I mean, yeah, it's just some seed, but he's poured tons of money into, really, it's crazy, just field tile and pattern draining it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then putting, spraying tons of manure on it and stuff. It's great. Like every year it seems like in that field he's, breaking, higher yields than whatever he's had.
Yeah, he's put time in soil, right?
And yeah, tiles, I don't know, it's pretty cool. Like, I know like you're draining away, but at the same time, like putting like tile and stuff, it helps honestly break up the soil, because you're creating, as your water is going to travel towards your pipe, which is then, and then in the summertime, it honestly gives like the beam, like I don't know if you ever noticed when you can see when it's dry out, you can see the power runs out.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Down towards the tile.
Oh yeah, right.
And stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, tile's not the devil by any means, but it's just like where that water goes and how you manage that.
No, I mean, it's just, what's gonna make it into it.
Yeah, right. Well, keeping the soil.
But doesn't it also sort of create like furrow type of irrigation?
The problem is like, once you start putting tile down, it's like you can't quit putting tile down. You know, like that's the problem. Like, okay, I got this great tile, and then it's almost like you're addicted to it. Like, oh, well, now I got water. Oh, now I got. Once you start, you can't stop. You would agree with that statement?
Well, I mean, just working at Shanksterville. Oh yeah, you get farmers every year. Yep, they want some more here, want some more here.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Tile budget.
Yeah.
See,
That's what,
yeah.
I mean, that's what my grandpa does. Every year he has a certain amount that he puts in.
Oh yeah.
And that's
Yeah, once you start putting it down, you're not gonna stop. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's look at this. So we've already talked about this a little bit with Kiss the Ground, right? But intercropping, 2 or more species planting the same field at the same time. This is what we're gonna maybe do. Of course, we're doing a lot of crop rotation, right? So now I know, thanks to Emma's stepmommy, okay, that we've got like, yeah, we have a monocrop, but like if we're switching it out every other year, then that's not considered monocropping. I like that. Agroforestry is really interesting. Okay, like actually planting vegetables in between trees. Okay, so we have a lot of fruit trees around here. Dowd's Orchard, if you've never been to Dowd's Orchard, okay, it's pretty amazing. The McClures, they've not only got a wonderful cider, they've also got a hard cider now, and it's become like, you know, nationally famous. Okay, what if those people started planting in between those trees vegetables? Okay, a lot out west you see the contour plowing. Okay, have you guys ever driven like through Kansas or through Nebraska where literally they have signs that say get gas now because there's not gas for another 4 hours? You know, but if you look out there, okay, there it is flat, but also there are some little ups and downs, and you'll see this contour plowing, that idea of trying to maintain our soil. This is all about soil, folks, and because soil is going to grow our food. Okay, so if we can plant things in between, that's great. Okay, if we can do some contour plowing, that's awesome. Okay, unfortunately, some of this stuff is just not like, you know, our machines aren't made for that. 72 row planter is not made for intercrop. Yeah.
And then on that contour stuff.
Yeah.
Like out in Kansas, especially, there's
Yeah.
a lot of that.
Oh,
they
yeah.
Also do that to help hold water.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When the dry.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, like it's so hard for us to like wrap our heads around this stuff because we have such good water, right? We have too much water. We're pumping it away off of our fields, right?
My aunt and uncle, they live out there.
Yeah.
And they probably live, they've lived probably 20, 30 miles out of town, and it's all city water. They can't, you'd have to drill too deep.
Oh yeah.
They can't get
You
water
can't get
out
the
there.
water, yeah.
It's all pumped into water
Right.
towers and.
Right. Where the mermaids live, right? All right, we know about no-till, right? Okay, the idea that, you know, we want to leave that stubble. You can all just drive around right now after this. You know, it's supposed to be 52 degrees on Friday or Saturday.
Really?
It's crazy. And then it's going to drop down snow next week, right? So I know, crazy. Yeah, so break out the shorts on Friday, right? Let's party. We should have like Hawaiian day on Friday. That'd be fun. Okay, but this was an eye-opener I learned, look, I love this class because I learn something new every year. And this is what I learned last year, okay, about no-till. And I've already mentioned this before, but that idea of like, I asked the question, like, why doesn't everybody just like, you know, no-till stuff, right? And Clay was like, look, part of the problem is like that compaction. We talked about this already, but that idea of compacting the soil. And I put this picture on last year because I think they said they were going to buy one, but this new trend of these treads to decrease the compaction. And now a lot of farmers are only creating these certain areas that they will put their grain bins and their tractors so that area will be compacted. They're just not going to grow food on that. Yeah. Oh, do they? Yeah. Right. When did you switch that over? Okay. And that was because of the compaction? Yeah.
Also, and they're also making a big change in like, kind of like John Deere and stuff. They just came out this year or whatever and started making combines from the factory that tracks. You could do, like before you could do an aftermarket.
But they're finally like, there's enough demand for this that people.
All the other brands switched to that.
And,
Can you even get a tractor without like treads like this?
Oh,
Like a new one?
Yeah.
and,
Why would you want that? Like cheaper? Yeah.
it's a non-user thing. And
Yeah.
it is still like, we worked in a field compiling, and unfortunately, there's still some people like, especially the biggest issue you run into is like like farmers just farming tons of thousands of acres, and they're renting it, so it's not really, they don't care about the land. Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
worked in this
yeah.
one spot, and the homeowner, he was thinking about trying to get somebody else to farm it, because they came in that fall, and it was extremely wet, and it's not their land, didn't care about it. I mean, they compacted, I mean, we're talking like deep ruts, like you couldn't hardly drive across it without bottoming out and stuff, just because they came in at extreme muddy and just took it off.
Is that just like stupidity or like what?
Yeah.
Or they just like don't care?
They just don't care, I mean,
Both. Yeah.
well, first off, they're farming enough that they're traveling, I think they were like this, so they're like clear up by Chicago,
What?
and so they come all the way down, they're not gonna go back, so they just go ahead, and it doesn't matter if there's water standing in the field, they just
Interesting.
destroy it.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about integrated pest management. 100% this will be on the exam. I'll just tell you, like the AP exam will be on mine tomorrow or Thursday too. But here's the deal, okay? A lot of people are like, when they see integrated pest management, they think it has something to do with like putting pests in, okay, or like just like getting rid of like insects, okay? Remember, pests could be horseweed. Right? We don't like the horseweed. Pests could be a wide variety of things inside of the field. Like it could be worms. Okay. But how do we get rid of this? Crop rotation, all of those things that I just showed you can decrease the amount of pests. Remember, like the reason why planting giant fields of corn and giant fields of beans like all the time is that, like, what if there was a disease that came in and just wiped it all out? You think potato famine in Ireland, right? Okay, like that was their crop. Okay, that crop failed. There's a fungus. Next thing you know, like all these people are starving and dead, right? Okay, so if we can increase the biodiversity, okay, if we can increase our ways of trying to reduce the pests, then we could do that. Create habitats. Like some people will like plant like is it not dandelions marigolds around their garden, right, to prevent like the critters from actually coming into the garden. Okay, create a habitat so all the pests go over here rather than go over there. There's a really interesting thing that Purdue is doing right now, and it's you have to enroll in it, but it's all dealing with the wind. And Nate Fingler was telling me about this. Here's the problem, is that he's trying to create a barrier between his farm and his neighbor's farm. Not that he doesn't like his neighbor, but you can't stop the wind, right? So if he's planting like GMO crops, okay, and this has literally happened before, okay, the wind blows, okay, they cross-pollinate with native species. Monsanto has actually gone in and fined people, neighbors, for planting corn that they didn't buy. Okay, right? And that's not only just like for corn, but also for pesticides too, and like to keep this away. It's called Crop Watch, I think. I need to go back and look at that sort of stuff. So creating habitats for not only just predators, but also habitats to keep that off and limited use of pesticides. That's called IPM, or integrated pest management. How do I keep, peace out, man. Okay, but this idea of like trying to keep our pesticide inputs down. Okay, we don't want to use the pesticides. There you go. Okay, and there's some results. Blah blah. Okay, we talked about organic food already. Let's talk about CAFOs. Okay, here's a map that Herb made. Herb is a guy that works with Jerry Sweeten. Okay, this is just the middle Eel River, not the whole. Okay, and I pulled this off the internet. Here's North Manchester. Okay, over here we're talking about like Mexico, like Chile, that area. Okay, every single green triangle is a CAFO. Okay, so what's a CAFO look like? Drive down 114, chicken barns, that's a CAFO. Okay, drive down 1100, high grade, that's a CAFO. Okay, if you got more than like 20 cows in a barn, and remember that's a confined animal feed operation, okay, or concentrate, they're all one spot. Why would anybody want to do that? It's way cheap, super cheap, and not only is it super cheap, what else? It's easy, a lot less work, and you get like a lot of product out of it, right? I mean, this is the efficiency model, right? Okay, let's get as many animals in, okay, right? But if you put a bunch of animals in a barn, what's going to happen to them? They're going to get sick. So what do you got to do? You got to give them medicine, right? Now, okay, I've had this, not argument, but I've had this discussion with people before who are like, now when you get sick, right, you go to a doctor gives you like some medicine and you get better, okay? That's what happens to these animals, right?
Sure.
No.
Okay, right, yeah, they get sick. What? But why do we get sick so much in the wintertime? Is it the cold weather?
I don't know
My
why.
mom always used to say, put a hat on, you're gonna catch a cold. Did I get a cold from a cold head? I was a swimmer. I loved it when, like, after practice, my hair would freeze. You know, it was awesome. I mean, like, we're talking like, I could pull icicles off of it, right? Okay. My mom's like, you need to wear a hat. You're going to get sick. Is that how I'm getting sick? No. How am I getting sick? Why do we get more sick in the winter time? We're freaking in school, right? All the time. Okay, why in California, like California, by the way, still their kids are not in school. Oregon, kids are not in school in person. Okay, why do people say we're not sending our kids back to school? We're inside, right? We're spreading these germs. Okay, so imagine now this is not inside, right? This is a different situation, but all of our stuff, all of our CAFOs are inside. Do they ever let these animals out? Well, it depends. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Okay, right? But that's it. If you want this book, by the way, holy cow, National Geographic, so it's not some sort of like Greenpeace, PETA BS, right? Okay, so this is all about like why chickens like became like so popular as a food item. Oh my God, this book is a page turner. Yeah.
Because you know you can sell like chicken, free-range chicken. Well, mine is like appraises stuff. He appraises the chicken barn and it's free range.
Oh yeah.
And so he's like, how often do they go outside? And the guy's like, oh, whenever they ask.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's the cage-free stuff. Like, so all the stuff automated, it's cage-free, right? Okay. Like that daily bread thing that I showed you, you know, where the guy was sucking up the chickens, that's cage-free. Okay. Because the barn itself is not a cage. Like they're talking about chickens in a cage like that, right? It's all words. It's all BS, right? Okay. People used to not eat chickens. Okay. This book, oh my gosh, like if anybody's interested, it is a page turner. It is all about like how like it all started with the contest. Okay. And so they had this contest with this biggest chicken. Next thing you know, they're like eating the chickens. Like to get to the point where we're selling chickens the way we did, it went through a lot. They used to dip chickens in antibiotics and they would leave chicken like in the supermarket for months and people started getting sick. And then they realized like, oh, let's just dip more antibiotics. Like literally they'd kill the chicken and dip it in antibiotics, package it and put it in the supermarket. And then people were like, don't eat the chicken, right? Like, so people went chicken crazy. Then they went, don't eat the chicken. Then the chicken industry was like, oh crap, we better do something about it. And it's nuts. And this also details really quickly how like disease can transfer from chickens to people, okay, and then people to different chickens, okay? Like this is why if you go to automated or if you go to high grade, you have to wash your car.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't like just pull up and like go do a tour, like, right? Because of like the disease that would enter those barns and completely wipe them out. Hold this thought. A few years ago, I was at I did the run for the bicentennial. So I got to run the torch through North Manchester. It's an incredible honor. It was super awesome. Sally Krause was also one of the runners, and Jeff Hawkins was one of the runners. And we had a meeting in Wabash. And so Jeff said, or Sally said, hey, do you want to all ride together? And I said, sure. So Sally picked me up at my house. Sally Krause is Bob Krause, the Krause's own MPS, right? Y'all with me on this? Strauss, Field, Krause. Okay, so Sally picked me up first. Then she parked at the end of Jeff Hawkins' lane. And Jeff had to walk down his lane, okay, and then get in her car. I was like, what's going on? And she goes, well, I can't drive down his lane because of my car, because he has chickens, and we can't like infect my car.
What the hell?
That's how crazy it is with chickens. This book, like if anybody's, man, I'm telling you, this book, like here's the incredible story of how antibiotics created modern agriculture and changed the way the world eats. Okay, don't let anybody tell you that these animals just get sick, so you got to give them medicine, right? They're sick because they're inside a house, right? And there's millions of them. Like those barns, these are my friends, right? This is just a fact. They'll tell you this anyways. 6 million chickens in automated in one house, right? It's a hell of a lot of chickens. Okay. So confined animal feeding operations, of course, they produce a lot of poop. What do you do with that poop? Some people, that's good, right? You can do it. If you look at Fair Oaks Farms, you can actually see the lagoons nearby. And I know some of you have been to Fair Oaks Farms. We talked a little bit about that. Let's look at the maps, Google Maps.
Don't
Really
they make
good.
power out of theirs?
You know, they do reuse it, which is pretty good. But I can't tell you all of it. You know, they got big trouble. You guys all saw that? This was like national news.
Because
Fair
all the PETA,
Oaks
which
Farm.
that had to directly do with Strauss.
Oh yeah, man.
Strauss
I
owns
know,
those.
I know. It was crazy. Well, then Strauss came out and they said, well, you know, that's not it wasn't really our farm anymore. But yeah, they said, Fair Oaks Farms said they didn't sell any of their baby calves for veal calves. Well, then some people did an undercover like video and traced it to North Manchester.
Well, they followed us and went to shoemakers.
Really? Is that where it went?
Yeah, they followed them.
Is this like Trish Shoemaker?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so all these, do you see all this stuff? These are all the lagoons, okay? See all this? All that stuff. That's all poop. Okay, poop, 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 poop.
I don't know.
Here's a
you know-
wetland for some poop.
You know,
Okay.
Martin's up in by like Nathan.
Oh, look, here's our drip irrigation, right? There's our circles. What's that?
Martin.
Who-
What's their
who-
last name?
I don't know the
But
ones.
anyhow, they have a huge area up there, and they have like the regenerative, like where they run all their manure through the things that create the power. And
Uh-huh.
they actually have like now new markets and stuff that will come in and dump all their old produce. And
Interesting.
yeah,
Oh, that's
like
cool.
it
That's
turns it
great.
huge,
That's
'cause he's
cool.
now like selling power.
Oh, that's awesome. But look at the massiveness, right? This is a barn. This is a barn.
Gas.
This is the lagoons.
We have one of those.
It's a shit ton of shit. Yeah, right? Isn't that amazing though? It's amazing. Huh?
That's what we, like, whenever we have to clean our chemical things out for like sprayers, we just dump it in the lagoon. And then like if we, like, need to get rid of anything, we just dump it in the lagoon, and then like it all just mixes together.
One,
What are you dumping in there?
Like
Pesticides.
pesticide, like whenever you like flush out your sprayer tank, so, like,
Oh yeah, really? But doesn't that create like stuff on top of the lagoon?
no,
Like,
it just like dilutes it.
interesting. Do you use the poop in your lagoon?
Which, if you put stuff in a lagoon, that's got like whatever high enough acidity that it'll like eat anything.
I got rid of a body once. Wait, what?
There's a dollar somewhere.
Do you ever empty it?
Not all the way.
Yeah.
Don't find it.
It would be a great place to put a body though, right? Just saying.
I mean, isn't there's microbiome in the food anyways, it would.
Oh, yeah, right. I want to see if I can find, let's go. Let's just go west. Here we go. Let's see if I can find, yeah.
What are you looking for?
I was looking for more of those. Like, whenever I fly west, I'm always like,
You know,
I
go to
look
Iowa.
at
You
and
want to be in
see-
Iowa or Nevada?
yeah, I wanted to
Kansas
find,
doesn't have it.
yeah. I wanted to see if I could find some like contour plowing. There we go. There's some contour
Oh, you
plowing.
want
See it? There's some contour plowing. Look at that. Just like that. Boom.
How do you do that?
Huh?
How do you like make that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it like ridges basically?
Yeah. Yeah, it's terraces. Yeah. Man, look at that. I found that in like 0.2 seconds. I'm
How do
pretty,
you go from like one terrace to the next?
I don't know the
Especially if
answer
you're,
to
like,
that.
Combine?
Combine.
Yeah.
Well, they don't make it. You can go over it. They don't make it so steep that you.
Yeah, that you can't go over. Tomorrow, let's talk about fish. You guys know who this chick is?
Is that
Is that
Amber's-
Amber's?
Oh, yeah. Shoot, I looked at it. I forgot her name's on it. Oh, yeah, that's Mrs. Ambrose's daughter. And she used to spend months at a time in Alaska on a boat for NOAA. Yeah, look at this stuff. Look at this thing. She had to like make sure that these fishing ships were not catching. Look at that guy, lump sucker. Huh. I know a lump sucker. All right, but she would like make sure like that they were not catching the wrong kind of fish and that they were only catching their quotas. That was her job. I stole this from her because she was like, as she came to do a talk in Mrs. Ambrose's class. And so tomorrow we'll talk about fisheries. Okay, but fisheries are crazy. Okay, has anybody had any fish in the last week?
Yeah.
What'd you have?
Well, tuna steak.
Tuna steak. Okay, anybody else fish? Fish this week? We'll talk about it. And I want to talk about this person right here. Sorry we didn't get to it, but I made a phone call last night to this guy. And this stuff right here is pretty amazing. Anybody know what this stuff is? That's kelp. And this guy's the owner of a company called Barnacle Foods. And I called him last night randomly and he picked up the phone. And we talked and it was amazing.
You know.
Nope.
And you just call.
Called him by accident. I thought I called the company number and he picked up. He's the owner of the company, he and his wife. And I was like, and he goes, "Hey, this is Matt." I go, "Hey, I go, I didn't expect to talk to you." I go, "I'm a little nervous." And he's like, "It's cool, man." He's like, "It's cool." And I was like, "I'm a biology teacher and this is going to be a weird conversation." I was like, "Do you have a minute?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he laughed. He's like, "Yeah." And then he was like the coolest. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. I have a man crush on Matt. Well, he's got like, and tomorrow I'll bring in, you guys want to try some of his product?
Yeah.
Would you eat some stuff tomorrow? Can I do
Yeah.
this? We just won't
I'll
tell,
let you
right?
know. Hey, you are recording this.
Oh, yeah. Stop.